On our anniversary trip, my wife looked across the candlelit table and said, "I want a divorce." I didn't flinch. I just smiled and replied, "Why wait?" The next morning, I canceled her return flight, left her with her share of the hotel bill, and caught my own plane home. Hours later, as I stepped off the jet bridge, my phone buzzed with a call from my mother-in-law, her voice sharp, panicked. My wife was being detained at the resort for unpaid charges. I'm 39, a project manager. My wife, Lauren, 37, works in marketing. For 12 years, I thought we had built a steady life, not a fairy tale, not fireworks every day, but comfortable, safe. We had a nice house, 2 cars, joint vacations every summer. I believed comfort was enough. Turns out Lauren didn't. The trip was supposed to be our reset. We'd been arguing little things piling up like laundry in a corner. I booked the resort, a 5-star hideaway with infinity pools and pristine beaches, thinking maybe sand and sunsets would fix what had cracked. But Lauren had other plans. She waited until the second night, after the wine was poured, after the waiter set down our entrees, to drop it on me. I want a divorce. No preamble. No hesitation. Just a clean slice, like cutting into steak. The moment I just looked at her, she didn't look angry. She looked relieved, like she'd rehearsed it, like she expected a fight. Tears, drama. Instead, I just said, "Why wait?" Her fork clattered against the plate. She blinked, stunned. That was the moment I decided. If she wanted to break us apart, fine. But I wasn't going to make it easy. I wasn't going to give her a villain to point to, a tantrum to justify her choice. No, I was going to be calm, calculated, and precise. The next morning, I checked us out of the hotel separately. Ash! I cleared my half of the bill, packed my bags, and headed to the airport. Before boarding, I canceled her ticket with a few taps on my phone. Then, with the same calm precision, I texted her, "Your share of the room is waiting at the front desk." Bon voyage. She didn't reply, but I could imagine her face, the shock, the scramble. The woman who thought she had the upper hand suddenly realizing the game had shifted. By the time my plane touched down, the game had shifted again. My mother-in-law's voice came through the phone like a thunderclap. "Do you know what you've done? They're holding her at the resort? She can't leave until the balance is paid." I didn't say much, just listened, because the truth was, this was only the beginning. Lauren thought she could script the end of our marriage. She had no idea I was writing the next chapter. When my mother-in-law called, her voice shook with outrage. "Arthur! How could you abandon her like that? She's stranded." I leaned against the terminal wall, rolling my carry-on slowly back and forth. She's not stranded. She's at a 5-star resort with her credit card, while she's an independent woman. Isn't that what she always reminded me? Silence on the line. Then the hiss of frustration. "This isn't funny." She said, "You canceled her flight." "Correct," I said evenly. "Since we're divorcing, I figured she could start handling her own travel arrangements. Fresh start." Click. She hung up. I smiled faintly and headed home. For years, Lauren had painted me as the safe option, the reliable one, the provider. She never said it directly, but I heard it in her tone whenever she'd talk about spontaneous people, fun people. It was as though stability was a curse word. But here's the thing. When you build your life around stability, you also build leverage. Every account, every plan, every trip, we've built it with me at the helm. And she was about to find out what stepping off that ship really meant. By the time I unpacked at home, Lauren finally texted, "Lauren? Really, Arthur? Hey, you left me here with a canceled flight? I had to borrow money from friends to cover the bill. What kind of man does that?" I read it twice, then set the phone down. The question wasn't rhetorical, it was projection. She wanted me to play the bad guy, but I wasn't going to argue. Let reality answer for me. 2 days later, I started getting messages from her friends. Curious little pings. "What happened?" Lauren says, "You blindsided her. She's making it sound like you're punishing her." "Man, is it true you left her at the resort?" I didn't reply. Not to them, not yet. Instead, I drafted a simple note for Lauren and sent it. "You said I was holding you back. Now you're free." No. This is what freedom feels like: bills, responsibility, choices. No more safety nets. She didn't answer. Not for hours. When she finally did, her words weren't sharp. They were shaky. "Lauren, this isn't fair. I didn't mean for it to go like this." Fair. That word hung in my head like a neon sign. For years, I'd carried the weight of fairness, making sure she felt supported, that her whims were covered, that her comfort came first. But when she decided to walk away, fairness evaporated. She wanted independence without consequences, and I wasn't about to bankroll her exit. That night, I poured myself a glass of whiskey and sat on the patio, the city lights stretching out like a sea of tiny stars. For the first time in years, I felt light. No anniversary trips, no hidden resentment across dinner tables. Just me, my decisions, my future. But I knew Lauren, and I knew this wasn't over. She was prideful, and pride doesn't go quietly. This was only round one. 3 mornings later, I woke up to an email from Lauren's lawyer. The subject line read, "Preliminary Notice of Divorce Proceedings." I actually laughed, not because divorce was funny, but because I could see her fingerprints all over it. The document was half-baked, missing details, like she'd rushed to throw it together. Classic Lauren jump first, look later. I poured coffee and read through. She was requesting alimony, half the marital assets, and this part made me choke on my drink soul. Possession of our dog Baxter. Baxter, who had slept at my feet every night since we brought him home. Baxter, who whimpered when Lauren ignored him for hours because she was glued to Instagram. She wanted him because she knew he mattered to me. I didn't reply to the lawyer, not yet. Instead, I forwarded the email to my own attorney, a calm, methodical man named Richard. He'd helped me restructure my finances years ago, and he knew every detail of our accounts. His response came within an hour. "Don't worry, she doesn't have a leg to stand on. Let's play this slow." That phrase stuck with me, played this slow. Later that afternoon, I got another call. This time, from Lauren herself. She didn't sound fiery like before. She sounded cornered. "Arthur, can we just talk? All of this lawyer stuff, it's gotten out of hand." I leaned back in my chair, letting her voice fill the silence. She hated silence. Finally, I said, "Talk about what? You made your choice." "You don't have to punish me." Her voice cracked, canceling my flight, leaving me stranded, freezing the credit card that was cruel. Cruel, that word again. Her narrative was painting me as the villain. But villains don't usually hand someone everything they ever asked for. I hadn't kept her from anything. I'd given her exactly what she said she wanted. Freedom. "Lauren," I said evenly, "you told me you wanted a divorce on our anniversary trip. I simply adjusted to the new reality. You can't light the match and then blame me for the fire." She started crying. The sound was familiar, but this time it didn't pierce me. It felt more like background noise, a performance I'd heard before. "Please," she whispered, "I just need some support while I figure things out." Support. There it was, always the safety net. Always the expectation that I'd bend, fix, rescue. I hung up without another word. That night, Richard called me again. "She's rattled. Don't give her an inch. She'll come back with more demands. We'll be ready." And I believed him. Because deep down, I knew something Lauren didn't. This wasn't just about divorce papers or bills. This was about control. For years, she thought she could test me, push me, take for granted that I'd always be there to catch her. But the moment I stepped aside, she stumbled. And her stumble was only just beginning. Lauren didn't wait long before launching her next move. If she couldn't control me directly, she'd control the story. By Saturday morning, I started getting texts from mutual friends. Screenshots of Lauren's Facebook posts, each more dramatic than the last. One read, "Imagine being abandoned by your husband on your anniversary in a foreign city with no way home. Heartless." Another. "Some people show their true colors when you need them most." The comments section was filled with sympathy. Friends of hers I barely knew were chiming in, calling me a monster, a narcissist, a coward. A few even tagged me, demanding I explain myself. I didn't respond. Not publicly, not privately. Instead, I let silence be my statement. But Lauren wasn't satisfied with sympathy points. She took it up a notch. By Monday, her mother called again. This time her voice carried a rehearsed edge, like she was reading from a script Lauren had written for her. "Arthur, you can't just leave a woman stranded. Do you know how humiliating this is for our family?" "Do you know how humiliating it is for me?" I replied. "To be told on my anniversary trip that my wife wants a divorce?" She sputtered, but I didn't give her room to regroup. I paid half the hotel bill. I left her exactly what was hers. I didn't strand her. I respected her decision. She wanted to end it, so I ended it. Silence, heavy, cold. Then she hung up. That night, I went to dinner with a buddy, Tom. He slid his phone across the table with a smirk. Lauren's Instagram was up. She had posted a photo of herself at the hotel, looking sad and dramatic. With the caption, "Sometimes the people you love the most hurt you the worst." The likes were piling up. Heart emojis. Stay strong comments. Tom shook his head. She's running a PR campaign, but it's thin. People will see through it. I shrugged. They don't need to see through it. They just need to watch. Because Richard had advised me to hold still. No reactions, no counter-narrative, just patience. 2 days later, the cracks started to show. Lauren had maxed out the emergency credit card I'd already frozen. She'd borrowed money from 2 friends to cover her expenses. And when she called her new man Yes, she had one. Though she tried to keep that detail quiet, he apparently told her he wasn't signing up for a rescue mission. The same friends who had left heart emojis on her posts were now whispering to me in private. What really happened? They asked. Why didn't she have money for a flight? Why did she say she was blindsided? I didn't answer them either. Silence was still my sharpest tool, because the truth was creeping out on its own. And Lauren. She was running out of allies faster than she could manufacture new stories. By Friday, the gossip mill was spinning faster than Lauren could control. Her carefully curated victim story was unraveling, thread by thread. But I knew her well enough to expect one final performance. It came on Sunday afternoon. I was at home, working through some paperwork, when the doorbell rang. I opened it to find Lauren on the porch. She looked disheveled, makeup smudged, hair unkempt, clothes wrinkled. This wasn't the polished version she presented online. This was desperation in heels. Arthur, she said, voice trembling. We need to talk. I didn't move aside. We've already talked. You said you wanted a divorce. I said, good to know. That was the end of it. Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't mean it like that. I was emotional. I was confused. Please don't throw everything away over one mistake. Her words might have landed once upon a time. But standing there, I realized something. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't even sad. I was free. You weren't confused, I said evenly. You were calculated. You waited until our anniversary trip to announce it, knowing it would cut deepest. That's not confusion. That's cruelty. Her lips quivered. She tried another angle. We've built a life together. 15 years, you can't just erase that overnight. I shook my head. You erased it the moment you told me you were in love with someone else. I just balanced the books. She flinched at that, like I'd slapped her. The silence stretched. Finally, she whispered, I don't have anywhere to go. There it was, the truth beneath all the dramatics. She hadn't come back for love, or reconciliation, or even dignity. She came back because the safety net she'd counted on had disappeared. I stepped outside, closing the door behind me. Lauren, you made your choice. You invested in someone else. But investments have risks. This one didn't pay off. That's not my problem to fix. She broke then, sobbing openly. Please, Arthur, please don't leave me with nothing. For a moment I almost caved. Almost. But then I remembered the look on her face at that restaurant, the relief when she confessed, the expectation that I would make it easier for her. And I realized she hadn't been afraid of losing me. She had only been afraid of losing the lifestyle I provided. I stepped back inside and closed the door. Her sobs carried faintly through the wood. After a while, they faded. When I finally peeked outside an hour later, the porch was empty. It was over, or so I thought. Because the next morning, I received a call not from Lauren, but from her new man. His voice was strained, almost panicked. Arthur, we need to talk. Please. I don't know what to do with her. The voice on the other end of the line was frantic, shaky, almost pleading. Arthur, please. I don't know what to do with her. For a moment I just sat there in silence, letting the weight of those words settle. Her new man, this great love she had left me for, was already buckling under the pressure. What exactly do you expect me to do? I asked, calm as ever. He exhaled hard, like he had been holding his breath. She's losing it. Crying, screaming, saying she has nowhere to go. I thought, look, I didn't sign up for this. I thought she was leaving you because she wanted a better life. I didn't know she'd be this unstable. I almost laughed, but I kept my tone measured. So you wanted the highlight reel, the polished version. The woman who smiles for pictures and whispers big promises, but now you're meeting the fine print, and suddenly you're surprised? He groaned, I can't deal with this. She's talking about moving in, about me taking care of her. I can't. I have my own life, my own bills. I thought it was just fun. I didn't mean for it to get this serious, and there it was, the full truth. He hadn't seen her as his great love. She was just entertainment, a diversion. Exactly what I had suspected all along. You'll forgive me if I don't have much sympathy, I said. She made her choice. You encouraged it. Now you get to live with it. Arthur, please, he begged. She listens to you. If you just talk to her, maybe she'll calm down. That almost did make me laugh. The irony was too rich. She doesn't listen to me. Not anymore. She made that clear when she told me she was in love with someone else. You wanted her, you got her. Congratulations, she's all yours. There was a long silence. Then he muttered, You're a cold man. I finally let a small smile creep into my voice. No, I'm just done being played. I ended the call. After that, the texts started pouring in long, rambling messages from Lauren, alternating between apologies and accusations. Some were laced with promises of change. Others were venomous, blaming me for abandoning her. I didn't respond. Not once. Days turned into weeks. Word spread quickly. Her new man ghosted her, cutting things off as fast as he had jumped in. Friends who had once cheered her on fell silent, unwilling to get dragged into her chaos. Her family? Even they reached out to me embarrassed, asking if I knew how to help her. But I wasn't her savior anymore. I had closed that chapter. Lauren had thought love was a safety net she could shred and replace whenever she felt like it. But what she never understood was that safety nets are strongest when built on loyalty, respect, and trust. Without those, all she had was a free fall. And me, I had already landed on solid ground. For the first time in 15 years, I felt weightless. Not because I gained something new, but because I finally let go of the burden I should have dropped a long time ago. If you've made it this far, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.